The words left Daniel Carter's mouth before his mind had time to catch up, and the moment he said them, he knew his life was about to change. The night was cruelly cold, the kind that cut through coats and settled deep in the bones. Snow swirled under the lone streetlight at the bus stop, the wind howling like it was angry at the world. Daniel had just left the office after another 14-hour day, his tie loosened, his thoughts already drifting toward his daughter, Lily, waiting at home with her homework spread across the kitchen table. He wasn't supposed to stop. He rarely did. CEOs didn't stop for strangers at bus stops after midnight. But he did. She was sitting on the metal bench, shoulders hunched, arms wrapped tightly around herself. Her coat was thin, far too thin for a night like this. And her hands were trembling uncontrollably. Her hair was dusted with snow, her face pale and exhausted, eyes fixed on the road as if she were waiting for something that might never come. Daniel slowed the car, his conscience louder than his schedule. He rolled down the window. "Miss, are you okay?" She looked up, startled, fear flashing in her eyes before she forced it back. "The buses stopped running," she said quietly. "I'll be fine. I'm just waiting." Daniel knew that tone. He'd heard it in his own voice years ago, after his wife died, when people asked if he was managing on his own with a newborn and grief that felt too heavy to carry. "I'll be fine." It usually meant the opposite. "You'll freeze out here," he said. Then, almost without thinking, "I'll take you home." She hesitated, every instinct screaming at her to be careful. "You don't have to." "I know," Daniel replied gently. "But I want to." After a long pause, she nodded. "My name is Grace." The drive was quiet at first. Grace stared out the window, fingers clenched in her lap. Daniel didn't push. He told her his name, mentioned his daughter, and kept his voice calm, steady, safe. Slowly, Grace began to speak. "She X." Daniel listened. He didn't interrupt. He knew how it felt when life collapsed without warning. He drove her to the nearest town and checked her into a modest motel, paying for a few nights without telling her it was charity. Before leaving, he wrote his number on a receipt. "If you need anything," he said, "call." He didn't expect to hear from her again. But 2 days later, his phone rang while he was loading freight. Grace's voice trembled on the line. "I don't know what to do." That was how it began. Phone calls turned into rides to job interviews, grocery bags left quietly at her door, and conversations that grew less guarded. Daniel learned Grace was smart, with a love for sketching and a stubborn hope she tried to hide. Grace learned Daniel had a son who collected model trucks and asked too many questions about heaven. The challenges came quickly. Social services got involved. Grace's mother resurfaced briefly, then disappeared again. Rumors swirled, judgments followed, and Daniel found himself under scrutiny for helping a teenage girl he wasn't related to. Friends warned him to step back. "It's complicated," they said. "Protect yourself." He prayed more than he slept. He wrestled with fear of doing too much, fear of doing too little. One night, after a long drive, he sat at his kitchen table while Caleb colored beside him. "Dad," Caleb said, looking up, "is Grace lonely?" Daniel nodded. Caleb thought for a moment. "You always say God puts people in our path for a reason." Daniel felt something break open in his chest. With guidance from their church pastor, Michael Harris, Daniel began the process of becoming Grace's legal guardian. It wasn't easy. Paperwork piled up. Court dates conflicted with delivery schedules. Money ran thin. There were nights Daniel nearly gave up, staring at bills and wondering if love was enough. Grace struggled too. Trust didn't come easily. She pushed boundaries, tested promises, waited for abandonment. More than once, she packed.